go video game on them or whatever. But yeah, it's just a fun story. I used to play the NASCAR video game a bunch, and yeah, God, I can remember back in the day, like before they put these things to stop it, like there would always be a kid, like it's a young child that would go the opposite direction, after he started losing, and like it would just
I know.
Run it.
I'm guilty of that. What up, Chuck?
Hey, what's happening, Ovox?
Oh man, I'm good. We're in that inter period, that inner Halloween, Thanksgiving kind of period.
Yeah.
It's a great time of year.
Yeah, I've noticed a lot of the Christmas decorations are coming out over here. Like
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Try to give you a little harmony there.
A PlayStation 5 would make me cheer. That could have gone a lot better, but I had to think of something.
Yeah, I'm not ready for Christmas yet. I'm ready to, enjoy fall. There's a lot. This is an awesome time of year, dude. Like the football and like the leaves.
The
changing.
weather, man.
Yeah.
I live south of the border, man. It's so hot all the time. And right now I'm looking out the window and it's super cloudy. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a little bit of gardening after this. That's right.
Yeah.
I garden.
Nice.
I got a machete. You saw it.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Don't make me pull it out again, man.
I still hear the sound. Like, shing.
That was a fun Halloween episode.
Yeah.
Well, let's kick this thing off, man. Do you want to do the intro?
Sure.
Welcome, everybody, man. Come on. What are you doing? Don't be rude.
All right.
Open the door. We got people outside.
I'm going to get in here and welcome gamers, non-gamers, PvEers, PvPers, and even NPCs, because we don't discriminate here at the New Wave Gaming Podcast. I'm ChukTomahawk.
And I'm Ovox.
Yeah.
Yeah, welcome, everyone.
To bump you up.
We're here to pump you up and talk about some gaming. If this is your first time here, welcome. We appreciate you joining us. We like to talk about, gaming, of course, but mostly kind of like our nostalgic experiences and those of many from back in the day since gaming began, and how it has evolved over time up to what gaming is now and all of the experiences we love and share today. And of course, some other topics come up in there, and I think this is one of those days when we're going to have a little fun and talk about kind of whatever we want, right, Chuck? Whatever everyone's chatting about on the interwebs. It's a DLC episode, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right.
New Wave Gaming DLC, downloadable chit-chat.
Down with the trend.
Yeah, down with the trend. But we got some hot topics today, right? We're gonna save the best for last. We're gonna talk a little about God of War Ragnarok, and of course, this is gonna be spoiler free because it only did release a few days ago, right, Chuck? I think it was released on Wednesday.
Yeah, I think a lot of folks are playing through that right now.
Are you getting a little God of War action in?
I did. I never got to play the first one. Like during its like I think the 2018 time period, I was kind of Xbox only. So yeah, I didn't have access to it. I would like be at a friend's house and see them, fighting these giant, bosses, and yeah, just didn't really have a chance to play. So yeah, really for just a little bit of research last night, you can get on PlayStation Plus and get that thing for free right now with if you've got that membership.
You got to have that top shelf membership, though, right? Yeah, I see you smiling over there, you sly dog.
It's a little deceiving because they kind of put the price up there, and then there's a download button beside it. It's like, is this really for free? Like, so, yeah. So I shot that thing down last night and got started on it. Yeah, it's a story. It's a long.
Oh, man. So you're talking about God of War 2018, which would be the first installment in the Norse mythology, rather.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Yeah, I've played that one as well. So we're definitely going to dive into that at the end, so stick around. Don't bail on us. We got some great stuff before that. We want to talk about another game that might be coming out called Blight Survival, man. I'm really excited for that, man. I hope that becomes a thing, and we'll explain what we mean by that here in a little bit. And Chuck T, you had a topic that at first I was like, huh?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
CPUs and what?
Yeah.
So drop it on us.
I saw like a little, I think a blurb on it, like a little short video that led me to a larger video on YouTube where like basically in Minecraft, there's a substance called redstone that has kind of allowed them to make like the rudimentary things you need to make a computer, like a gate, I think is what they called it, like where it can, kind of be a plus or a 0 or a 1 type thing, like sort of how, the most basic.
Well, don't give everyone too much info. Just like we want to save the good stuff for the main topic, but like just bare bones. What did you find? What are we going to get into here?
Yeah, I think the most exciting part to me is that they were able to simulate Minecraft inside of Minecraft. You can play Minecraft on this computer that they built. Like, so they're playing Minecraft inside of Minecraft. And
wait, where did they build the computer?
In Minecraft.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. And,
my gosh, man. See, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, at first I was like, what? Like, but when I started looking into it, I was like, there's no way in heck we're not talking about this.
Yeah. You know what? Like, I think what we need to talk about is how do we do this in Arc?
No, man. Stop. Can you imagine? I mean,
I've already been working on it. Yeah. Like, I can't imagine.
There's a lot to be said about this achievement that these gamers, because these. Let's save it. Let's save it for here in a little bit. We're gonna get into that as well, and it's fascinating. But man, I gotta just to get this podcast popping off right out of the gate. Other day, I wake up, and we're gonna get this one going with a little pre-conversation. I wake up, and we all have our routine in the morning, so I'm in there in the bathroom, sitting on the throne, and I get a message from ChukTomahawk, about NASCAR. And I just found it amazing, dude. Like I had a big smile on my face. Like, ChukTomahawk, guy from Tennessee, sending me a picture, content about NASCAR while I'm on the throne at like 8 a.m.
Breaking news.
And I pull it up, and it said something about a NASCAR racer doing moves just like in video games. And I was like, what, man? Like I pulled it open, but what was this all about? You got to drop it on us.
Yeah, there's this cat named Ross Chastain that's kind of one of the up and coming drivers there in NASCAR, and the way the season works, it kind of gets down to the playoff system in the end, and it starts out I think around 16 drivers and goes to 12, then to 8, and I think. I'm not sure if there's one more tier before this, but at the very last one, which was the race that he was in, it drops down to 4 drivers that. In the next race, whoever finishes the best out of those 4 drivers is going to win the championship for the year. It's like, what they've raced 32 races to get up to. And so it's kind of like if you're into football, it's kind of like a playoffs race. Yeah, like the
like super important.
Yeah, the conference championship essentially. Like to see who's going to the big show, And so he's
if I may.
Uh-huh.
Sorry for stopping you, but I'm curious, and maybe anyone else that isn't into NASCAR will have this question: what is the big show? Like, what is the main thing they're going to?
It's a little deceiving because actually the first race of the year is the Daytona 500 is often considered like the biggest show in the season.
Yeah, that seems familiar to me.
Yeah, but oddly enough, like they do that at the beginning, and then like throughout the year they build up these points and kind of have this who's in and out of the playoff systems, and ultimately it's at I think it's at Phoenix Raceway is where it's at, and it's the end of the year, like where it's going to decide the championship, as far as the points go. And in years past, like this would just be a point system solely, like it wouldn't come down to this 4 drivers. So it might be to a point like, no, it's already decided. So they made this system so it would be decided in the last race. which has kind of put some emphasis on this and this race leading up to it. And this guy, each driver has a spotter up on top of the grandstands, and they're looking down and enabled. They've got also like computer tracking and all this, so they at any second know like where you stand as far as the playoffs go. And so he realized he was in 5th place and was going to be out of the playoffs, and it's coming up on the last lap of this track it's at Martinsville, Virginia, and they call it the paperclip because it's really small. And
Damn.
And so really that worked in his favor. Like the speeds are down because the track is really short. Like it's only like a half a mile, and it's really like sharp turns at the end. So like you basically floor it down the straightaway and then jump on the brakes and like make it around that corner and then floor it again. And like, so, yeah. And there's like the fastest route has always been around the very bottom, like who's making that circle the smallest. So he knows he's got the outside, and
There's a picture of his. There's a picture of his. It looks like a Camaro. It says Moose on the back.
Yeah,
Moose.
Yeah. So they get this. Like I say, he's got a spotter up there, and he's on the radio with him in his helmet there, and he's like, the spotter says, you need to get two spots, and he kind of like, you can tell like he thinks about it for a second, and there's it's just no way that he can do that, and he asked him again, like, we gotta have him, like there's no other way that this is going to work out, like, someone else not finishing or something, and they say, yeah. And then, so it's like, he's in that part where you floored it going down the straightaway. And instead of slowing down for the corner, he just like keeps going and like lets the momentum like carry him into the wall. And yeah, so where all the other drivers have slowed down to probably around, I would say 60, 70 miles an hour, he's going like 140.
Wait, so what he's doing is just, instead of slowing down, he's catching the wall and using it kind of like just basically, I think his goal was not slow down at all, or was he trying to use it as well as kind of like a slingshot on the other end? He was going to, like in Star Trek, in one of the original movies back in, those older movies with Kirk. I think in one of those they slingshotted around something to go into the. Remember? Yeah. They went around the sun in Star Trek 4. That's right. When they go back in time to San Francisco to save the whale. Yeah. Remember that?
I do remember that.
They do that to go, and I think they did it in one of the old Superman movies too. Remember, he'd like fly really fast around the planet or something to
and make time like go backwards.
Yeah.
Even lately,
man.
Didn't like how things.
Freaking Ross Chastain's trying to go back in time in Virginia, B.
He's good,
using them freaking Mario Kart moves.
It looked like he could go back in time. He was going so fast, like relative to those other cars, and. Like I must point out too that like these aren't the walls of old. Like I would say 10 years ago they started making these softer walls. So instead of the wall being out of concrete, it's kind of like a styrofoam, like hard foam kind of situation. So there's a little bit of safety there, but I'll just say it, man. Like the chances of this working are slim. Like what easily could have happened is that he just when he went to the wall, it bounces him off of it and into the other cars that are going incredibly slower than him, and like it's just it knocks them out of their position they were finishing. Like it's just it's
I think we've all seen videos of stuff like that happening where like the guy will clip the wall and just bounce back and just cause an entire wreck for everybody.
Yeah, and
we've seen stuff like that.
Yeah, and so as soon as he starts hitting the wall, like it starts like all this water starts flying up and like I think it blows his radiator and like there's all kinds of debris coming off the wall. Like I say, it's almost like a disintegrating wall and like he can't see anything, but he's like holding it on there and like yeah. I mean, it's just
we pulled it off.
And I saw this interview with him, and he said the first thing he saw, like he looked out, and it was like the guy Denny Hamlin that he was trying to pat, that he had to get in front of, and realized like he had done it, and
So what happened?
He made it. Like he in that particular race, he finished. I think like I forget what place it was. It wasn't a win, but like it was enough to make him
pass
be able
the next round.
Yeah, he could make to the next round of the playoffs, and like people just went berserk, and I think it's so cool that I have to mention like at the beginning of the pandemic, there's this thing called iRacing, is like a video game that actually like is something I really want to try, and a lot of drivers, like including Dale Earnhardt Jr., like all sorts of people, like play this game. And like when the pandemic started and they couldn't have the actual NASCAR races, they actually had the actual NASCAR race, like the one, for that week. Like like they were scheduled to race at Bristol, Tennessee. They raced at Bristol, Tennessee on the game and put it on the channel, like on TV, like where the normal NASCAR race would be. And a lot of the drivers like use it so much to learn to race. They raced, but like they also brought in like computer, like people that were really good at the actual game. And yeah, it was super exciting. There was a funny story in that. This cat that he's passing, Denny Hamlin, his daughter, like while he was racing during one of those events, like walks into the room and has a remote control and like ask him something, and he's like, not now. And like she turns the TV, like turns the whole thing off, like, and he's like, on with like the NBC, like all that, like it all goes south. And yeah, so video games are deep in NASCAR, and one of the things that's come of that,
just to keep this going, because we got to get on to the main topics.
Sure.
What was, I remember an interview, man. You got to bring the interview up, because they asked him, like he I remember him saying in the interview, because I watched it as well. He literally was like, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said something along the lines of, now I know there's rules and like people shouldn't do that, but I remember it working in a video game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what we're getting at here, is that it's video game related, because he literally, the guy, what's the word? Like they use in a court of law, like he premeditatively used it as a gaming move.
Yeah, when he realized he was in that situation, that's where his mind went. And like I say, the video games are super, in like a lot of the drivers, especially the younger ones, are into them. So they all kind of know this. And I think Carl Edwards is the first to try this, and he kind of more ricocheted off the wall. But yeah, because you've seen it happen in these video games, like you're playing the video game, the consequences are very different. Like you can't be hurt. Like, it's just a game. Like I mean, you're obviously taking it really serious and put a lot of laps in, and so people have tried this online. Like I mean, you've just done it. like you're just kind of like, I've got nothing to lose, and you just go for it. So yeah, he knew that because of that, and I think that's what I even said when I sent you the message. No, we wouldn't know this was possible if it wasn't for the video game. And yeah, that's why I think it's fun to share with our listeners. And it's
hilarious, man. But what was I going to say? Could you imagine if it hadn't worked?
Well, that's it. Like it took some.
It would be a different story.
It took a lot of balls to do it. Like to
imagine if the whole car just went.
Oh yeah, and
I mean, obviously that'd be bad, but
I would say too, that car, like to having to fix it, like is going to be, hundreds, thousands of dollars. Like,
yeah, potentially. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and like I say, one of the most like even in the video game, when you try it, you'll just kind of bounce off that wall, or you'll scrub the wall so much it slows you down enough that it doesn't really work. Like, I mean, he did it perfect. And, like I say, he went for it. Like was the thing, and yeah, everyone has just really latched onto it. I think it's brought a lot of publicity to, the video game, and also like,
did they uphold
fun.
Did they uphold his place?
They did. It makes me wonder that, like, if this happens too much, that they won't put some kind of rule out, maybe that you can't go video game on or whatever. But yeah, it's just a fun story. I used to play the NASCAR video game a bunch, and yeah, God, I can remember back in the day, like before they put these things to stop it, like there would always be a kid, like it's a young child that would go the opposite direction, after he started losing, and like it would just
I know.
Run it.
I'm guilty of that. But only when I was a little kid, man. I was a little kid, and I'd be, I was that 4-year-old amongst all the 6 and 7-year-olds, man, and they were killing it. And, and I'd get like one shot in there, and I'd start just bombing, So I'd be like, all right, well, hell with all these punk. I'm gonna fuck it. I'm taking advantage of my 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna win. So
we're gonna get some action.
I'm gonna run right into him.
It kind of happens on its own. Like you kind of wreck and you're facing that way, and you realize like, maybe you try to get going again and it's not happening. And you're like, yeah, let's get our money's worth. So
get our money's worth.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a fun story.
Had to change my stance. That's awesome. So if gamers out there, if you want to check this out, you can find it. Just Google Ross Chastain video game move or something like that, and it'll come up. There's plenty of videos and interviews and articles. I thought the interview was particularly cool because he's like clearly covering his rear end, but at the same time going, yeah, I totally used a video game move. We got a former gamer in there. Maybe he still is a gamer on his off time. So shout out to Ross Chastain for those awesome moves. Chuck T, what's up with Minecraft, man? Are we in a simulation? Is the world not what we thought it was? Are we going into this total like Lex Friedman, Neil deGrasse Tyson? Is that his name, Neil deGrasse Tyson?
It is.
Man, what a science communicator. Both of those dudes.
Yeah.
Are we in some sort of a AI Neil deGrasse Tyson simulation of the quantum physics nature?
Neil, he kind of takes you on a ride there, where he really kind of proves it. He has a program called Star Talk, is where I see him a lot of times, and he kind of takes you to that place where things are. It's pretty likely, but he also has a rebuttal, and obviously these dudes are way smarter than me, and I can't do this justice, but it's one of the things that I think makes this Minecraft story interesting, and just if maybe take a second for our listeners that I feel like almost everyone's heard of Minecraft at this point, but
mine what? Craft.
I know I was mistaken what it was. Didn't there used to be a little game on a free game that came with Windows that was you put a flag somewhere and you put these little mines around it and
You mean Mine Seeker? What was that called? Mine. Hold on, let me look for it.
For years, dude. I would say until 3 years ago when someone said Minecraft, that's what I thought they were talking about.
That's because we're so lame and we're not hip, Chuck T. We're the most unhip people out there. Old Windows games. I'm just going to type Mine. I think it's Minesweeper. It is. Get Minesweeper. Oh, you can get download it, Chuck. Minesweeper is a logic. Going down a rabbit hole here, fellow gamers. Minesweeper is a logic puzzle video game genre generally played on personal computers. The game features a grid of clickable squares with hidden, quote-unquote, mines scattered throughout the board.
Yep.
The objective is to clear the board without detonating any mines. It goes on. Yeah, that game was on, Windows 3.1 or 3.0 or whatever it was back in the 90s.
There was Solitaire and...
right there with, yeah, exactly. And chess.
Yeah, so...
I think, do you remember when Pinball came out? That was that game was
improvement, yeah.
Damn, dude. Yeah, that was going to a PlayStation 5 in those times. Damn.
I'm sure I was at work somewhere too. It's what made those games. That's what draws you to those games. It's on your work computer, and you're like, oh yeah. Sticking it to the man today. but yeah, anytime,
different game.
Anytime
different
someone
game.
would mention that's what I would think of, and they would start talking about blocks and stuff, and I'd be like, it would reaffirm what I thought, that was it. And
Same game.
Yeah. It's funny. It must have gotten a lot more complicated. I mean, I don't remember.
I don't remember a night cycle.
Exactly.
What happens at night?
But at some point I looked it up. I think I used to be playing FIFA, and there we'd be in chat, and people would be like, we're going to, we're quitting after this game. We're going to play Minecraft, and it kind of made me, figure out a little more what it was. And anyway,
there's no way in hell these guys are bailing to go play Minecraft, and you're thinking about Minesweeper. You're like, there's just no way. Well, so this has got to be something else.
And I'll tell you the gist of what I was going. I was probably playing with some people that were, maybe teenagers or whatever, and they. It's almost like they think of this as a kid's game. They were kind of almost embarrassed that they were still playing it at their age or whatever. And because the one guy pretended like he didn't play it, and his buddy got on that he played with all the time, and he started asking him Minecraft questions, and he was acting like he didn't know what he was talking about.
You could tell there was an itch there.
Yeah. Kind of picked up on that, but yeah. Anyway, it's I guess this is what you like, like use one of our cheat codes. Wikipedia describes it as a sandbox video game developed by Mojang Studios, created by Marcus Notch Person, and was released in, I think early release was like 2009, but it was fully released in 2011, and has like continued to improve. My mind goes to Ark. This is an open world game, I think, where there's a ton of crafting and resource harvesting.
Servers.
Kind of how.
Yeah, they got servers and all that.
Yeah.
Full disclosure, I've never played Minecraft.
Me either.
No?
No. Yeah.
But that's okay, because, there's a story here that we're really, it's all about this story, man, that's mind-blowing to me. We haven't played Minecraft, but we've played our fair share of video games, including survival games. You just mentioned Ark, of course. We've dumped plenty of hours into that. And it's certainly similar in some regard. I think Minecraft is certainly unique in the sense that it's very blocky.
Mm-hmm.
It's just got its own look. Minecraft will always be very identifiable, by its look.
Yeah,
It's unique in that regard.
It tells me they've focused on the actions more than visuals. There's times like when we're playing Ark, like we've literally just stopped and said, look at that, man, like look at that moon, and things. Yeah. And I don't think you do that in Minecraft, but it obviously looks like it has a pretty deep crafting and building section to it.
Yeah, with numerous updates, lots of them are fondly fondly remember. Like a lot of these updates meant big things for the community. Mm-hmm. And long story short, it's an extremely popular game with a huge player base. That's bottom line.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
from my understanding, go ahead. Sorry.
I just started to say like where I kind of saw there. I started to mention earlier. One of the neat things is they'll actually be just something that a few people are messing with that they'll eventually give an update for. Like it doesn't even seem like a ton of people are building computers in there, but once it sort of got started, I think they kind of went that way. And I imagine it started in their electrical system, again, as I relate this to Ark, like there was some way that they made something called a gate, which is like a rudimentary something you need to sort of have a 1 or a 0 in computing. But
before you unpack it for everyone, what do you talk tell the listeners what's going on, what happened?
They had a little bit of ability to create something like that. So ultimately, like I think around 2012 or so, people started building computers. Like they started building things that were just very rudimentary. And I think eventually there was an update that something called Redstone was introduced. And that further facilitated, and I think there's a part that you can make with the redstone that's called it has computer almost in the word. It's like a computer generator or something, and it further facilitated what these folks are doing. And ultimately, you get to about a year ago, I think there was a team. There was this guy. I couldn't ever find a first name. All I see is Sammy Yuri. I think he had some help.
It's a gaming man.
Yeah, he had someone else.
ChukTomahawk,
right?
Ovox, Sammy Yuri.
Yeah,
what's going on?
He was known as Sammy Yuri and
Pepe Tortilla, most deadly.
Right. So yeah, just for our show, I wanted to really exhaust the evidence or whatever. But you have some other folks I think that go by Huerta and Stack Double Flow that and a lot of volunteers. I think they built something that he called the Chungus. I think he obviously had the Chungus 1 and then built the Chungus 2. And that's an acronym that stands for the Computational Humongous Unconventional Number and Graphics Unit by Sammy Yuri.
Damn, man.
Yeah.
I want to say it. Computational Humongous Unconventional Number and Graphics Unit. Damn, man. I love that they added humongous in there.
Yeah.
Not like a macro or, large or,
when you said expansive. I want to say it, I thought you were going to say Chungus, man. Say that. That's fun to say.
Say it again.
Chungus. Got me right. Too. Got me right in the Chungus.
Chungus.
It's fun to say. Dude,
all right, we're losing listeners by the load here. Let's keep this.
But dude, this thing is massive. And it takes up several I'm a picturing picture about the size of our one of our bigger bases that we've had in Ark, like, including the outdoor area, and that's about how big it looks like this thing is, like where they've built a computer, and like some of the stats of the computer, like it has an 8-bit 1 hertz hard drive, as I understand it, and like 256 bytes of RAM. It has a full graphics processing unit, like 6 kilobytes of video memory.
Dang, dude.
A dedicated graphics card. The screen was 96 by 96 pixels by 96 by 96 pixels. And like, I watched a few videos of this thing, dude. I mean, it's like they have a mouse, like this thing you stand on, that sort of like,
Hold on, you're breaking my mind, dude. You're breaking my brain right here. For the layman like myself, or a person that's a gamer that's never played Minecraft, break it down to me and the listener, like, just like, for example, Ovox, pretend that you turn on the game and this is what you see. Like, what are we looking at? Like, what is this?
It has a screen, just like you're looking at your computer right now. It has a screen, like you're looking at the screen, like a 96 by 96.
So, for example, I turn the game on, my character spawns into the server map, this large area, and it's pretend like we'll use Ark as a reference. It's just a fresh map. There's nothing there, nothing built. And then players of Minecraft join forces in that map to begin creating, just crafting with the elements that the game already has. They're literally crafting a computer bit by bit using redstone and these. I mean, this is kind of what I've gathered off the little bit of research I did when you proposed this topic. But kind of what I visualized is, it's like, okay, I turn on the game. I'm in real life. Ovox myself. I turn on the game. Now I'm looking at a screen, and my character spawns in. Let's say you spawn in. Pepe Tortilla spawns in, and we're all like, hey, this is a game where we can craft, our base, our home, or whatever, things that most I suspect Minecraft players do to survive and continue in the game. But these guys are saying, instead, let's go on to our own fresh server map. This is what I'm visualizing again. And they use the same game elements, but instead of crafting like a base, they craft a full-fledged CPU, computer with all the specs, and they craft a screen. And then in Minecraft, like me, Ovox playing Minecraft, I can then play that game that I created in Minecraft.
Right.
Is that kind of what we're talking about here?
That's exactly what we're talking about. So the computer is like the size of a base. The computer is the size of a base. It's not like they had, like they had like a graphics card or whatever. They've literally created that, and the ability to do it. Obviously, you have to be incredibly intelligent. I guess I have some understanding that ultimately computers are broke down to binary, ones and zeros. But as far as how that, translates to, us doing this podcast over the internet right now, like I can't say, obviously explain that. I can't even explain how they made this rudimentary computer. I know, like, from watching the video, it involved a lot of switches, on and off, like switches.
Yeah, that's something that I spotted too. Go ahead. Yeah, I'll piggyback off you.
Yeah, I'm picturing. This is obvious, like a really specific to you and I example. But if you think of the base we had on Valguero, and like when we had in Ark, when we had this big, we had one of those tech gates. Like, picture if like the base was the computer and the tech gate was the screen. Like, we're standing out there, on the ice, just looking up at that big old screen. And that's where things are. That's where Minecraft is.
Nuts, dude. My brain is just like, it's starting to hurt on the back left.
Yeah, they had to create a language for this computer and write the code for the game. And I think someone did this like several years ago, but they did a 2D version, and like now they're doing a 3D version of the game. Like, dude, they're crafting. I mean, they're harvesting things. Like, it's only in 2 shades of brown, but like somehow they have created a computer, like a full-blown gaming computer in there. And like they can play Doom. Like, they have Doom, I think, programmed in there.
I mean,
another
listeners,
instance,
real quick, if you can check, I mean, hit pause, check out this video, or check out it after the podcast. But if you just type into YouTube I made Minecraft in Minecraft with Redstone. It should come right up, and you'll see exactly what ChukTomahawk is referring to. So I just wanted to throw that in, just so that, because man, for someone like for anyone out there like myself, it's like, what? What do you mean? You built Minecraft in Minecraft? You know, like seeing the video really helps, because then you can kind of see that just the tremendous effort, and just the I don't know what adjective I'm looking for here, but just how bonkers it is when you actually see what they've built in this game. Well, like, I'm looking at it now, and it's still hurting my eyes.
Well, imagine like again, you know, if you'll allow me to continue with the Ark examples, but imagine if in Ark we had a generator and we had some electrical lines and we had those lamps, and like we turned on and off like the lamps to represent the ones and the zeros, and you know, I mean, you see how this starts. Like I'm not saying like you know, I could build you a computer to play Ark on in Ark, but like you could literally build a wall of doors and have the door open be the 0 and the door closed be the 1, and create a rudimentary computer.
Man, dude, this is just fascinating, man.
Yeah.
That's just so crazy. I mean, you definitely got to check out these videos. And when I watched the first one, I made Minecraft in Minecraft with Redstone, which is the one that caught Chuck's attention, the one by Samiyuri Uerta in Stack Doubleflow. Shout out to those guys, man, for this create. I mean, because this is kind of like, this seems like the top shelf of the CPUs in Minecraft, which is what I was going to get at. It turns out that this isn't like a one shot thing here. Lots of gamers have been dabbling in creating computers, like, you know, put aside like video games in the video game, because I've seen Minecraft in Minecraft, I've seen Tetris in Minecraft, I've seen Microsoft Paint in Minecraft. That one caught my attention too. There's some videos of some guys that literally in 24 hours, it was a challenge. They made Microsoft Paint in Minecraft in 24 hours. But it looks like they've been doing this for quite some time, like since at least back to that update, whenever that was, that gave them what became Redstone. I think in the very beginning they didn't even call it Redstone yet. They called it like Red Dust or something weird like that. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, it was an update to Minecraft where they introduced a couple of new building things, as far as, you know, building items, as far as my understanding was, or like it'd be like an Ark if they introduced like a new resource or a new tool, like, you know, when they introduced the mining beam.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was a new element in the game. It was an update,
right?
You know, like we see in many games where they introduced, like in modern warfare and Warzone, you know, they'd introduce new weapons periodically. Those are updates. So in Minecraft, they got an update, and then bang, man, all these like kids are like building computers inside of Minecraft all of a sudden, just because they introduced like a little switch that could turn on and off something or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
That's just, it's amazing, man. You know, and they thought gamers would never get anywhere.
Well, and I think too, one of the things we're not like really able to articulate, not being players of this game, is I saw some videos. You can imagine Ark, like you know how you can lose stuff, like you know, when you die or whatever. Like I saw this one build this guy was doing that was about the size of the Chungus, and they pointed out that like if he were like he was one creeper away from losing that whole deal, like and imagine that, like, because these look like some building projects like no other, like you're not even seeing, you know, what they did to get the resources to craft that, you know, the materials. And
I think I know what they're doing there. I think they have it on creative mode.
Yeah, and I think that's
They
just
have
it.
to.
I was watching a video and they pointed out that he wasn't in, the mode that allowed that protection and
Oh, damn. So he had to like survive the nights and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Yeah. And
that
most of
kind
it
of
was
in
up off the ground. I think that, kind of had a relative bit of safety, but it showed him walking under it, where I think trouble could happen. So,
oh gosh.
Yeah.
Dude, that's nuts, man. That's just crazy.
Yeah. So obviously it put me to thinking, like, how could we do this in other video games? I kind of, it's just super interesting to me. I also was like listening to some Lex Friedman podcast stuff that was kind of, going down some of these roads and it really stood out to me. And, if I can take a, one of those, watch out here, we're at a Chuk point, like deviations in the show.
Like, Chuk point. Hey, I like Chuk points, man. It means we're making progress.
You can pause here.
But, hey, this is the most professional podcast Chuk and I do.
Yeah. If you get a low tolerance,
the only one, but
yeah, that's right. It's the most professional one. Like if you want to go get a beer right now or take a smoke break, like might be the time to do it. But when I saw this, I saw that they simulated Minecraft, and it immediately made me think of, the simulation hypothesis that I'd kind of ran into there with Neil deGrasse Tyson. And, because here's the next question. What if in that computer that they're playing Minecraft on, inside of Minecraft, someone built another computer that also played Minecraft inside of Minecraft inside of Minecraft?
I really wanted to take a screenshot of you right there because you were like, listeners, Chuck's like just like got this almost karate stance and he's pointing at the camera with his bright blue eyes just piercing my heart on Minecraft inside of Minecraft. And at the same time, I don't know, man. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like, like that's like they say, you can't look behind you while you're looking in front of you. So how do you know behind you is not a simulation and you just don't realize that the screen is rendering in behind you? Like I can see behind you right now, Chuck, and the screen hasn't rendered in yet. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, everybody knows you can't stand backwards on stairs, but like
no, I'm just kidding.
I just wanted to float that one by. It's a bonus.
I can see your face like, Ovox, don't fight me on this
bonus
one.
Chuk point.
You can't stand backwards. I never thought about that, man. You're really trying to break my brain today. Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Yeah. Like, if you ever saw, like, when, like, back in the day, they would take a video camera and they would point it at a TV that had the feed from that video camera on it, and, like, you see, like, 1,000, like, images.
Like the wave thing?
It's like that.
Oh, yeah.
You see it inside of itself to infinity, basically,
Dude, that's funny. That happens when you turn on OBS to record your screen. Like when I'm doing some gaming content for my channel, I'll get the OBS going, and from time to time, if I don't have the screen set to a specific window, it'll just show the window of OBS, and it's just like a limitless screen capture, like you said. It's just like, what the? It kind of catches you too, especially if you're a little stony.
Yeah.
Like, what? Oh, yeah, that's right.
Best not to dwell on that. Like,
just start shaking your head.
Yeah, this stuff gets creepy, dude. I was talking about this with a friend like maybe about a year ago, and literally they were just like, you got to stop. Like I mean, I had to literally be like, how about them bears? Like, and just like talk about something else. Like, but
how about them bears? Okay.
Yeah, but anyway, like to continue with the Chuk point, there's something called the simulation hypothesis. I think I first saw on an episode of Star Talk with Neil deGrasse Tyson, And he mentioned something that it proposes that all of our existence is a simulated reality, such as a computer simulation. And the hypothesis was first proposed by a guy named Nick Bostrom. And when I first heard this, I thought, yeah, that's crazy. There's there's just no way. But if you allow me just to kind of like I feel like if I try to explain it, it's gonna get just silly. So I'll read just the very synopsis of what he said, essentially.
Hit it.
So this Nick Bostrom said that many works of science fiction, as well as some forecasts by serious technologists and futurologists, predict that enormous amounts of computing power will be available in the future. Let us suppose for a moment that these predictions are correct. One thing that later generations might do with their powerful computers is run a detailed simulation of their forebears or of the people like their forebears. Because their computers would be so powerful, they could run a great many such simulations. Suppose that these simulated people are conscious, as they would be if the simulations were sufficiently fine-grained, and if a certain quiet, widely accepted position in the philosophy of mind is correct. That right there is the crux. Like as far as that's a big jump right there. But to continue what he said, then it could be the case that the vast majority of minds like ours do not belong to the original race, but rather to people simulated by the advanced descendants of the original race.
Well, and I think that in itself is a separate philosophy from the computing power one. Like that one right there, that's like that last little bit makes me think about the theory that, there was an extremely advanced civilization that passed on, that built, like, for example, the pyramids in Egypt. Mm-hmm. There's like theories that say that technology was actually given to us. Like we weren't just able to do that. There was actually a much more advanced civilization, a forebearer. Is that the right word? A civilization. And that's in my, just kind of hearing it is separate from the computing power thing of like whether or not we could program like an NPC so well that it becomes conscious. And I agree. Like that other little bit that you said is a big leap. 100%. That's the crux of it. Like that's the thing, though.
Well, and I think too, like shout out to Lex Friedman. Like for me, I kind of mentioned like at the same time I was being exposed to this, I'm listening to him, and like I've saw him on a couple of occasions argue that eventually that AI will be to a point that it'll have protections almost similar to like what we're giving, like in the abortion debate. I think he was using some. That literally at some point it'll be like if you turn off a robot, it'll be the same as killing someone essentially. And
dude, remember the episode on Star Trek: The Next Generation? Data, does he have his own rights? Is he property or is he his own individual? Remember that episode?
Yeah.
Captain Picard advocates for him, dude, and kicks ass with his like Captain Picard speeches.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people predict this is going to come to fruition, and that's why, that I think that obviously this Nick Bostrom is willing to make that jump, and it's supposed that they'll literally consider these beings conscious. That's a big jump, but yeah, it's a fun thing to think about. Like, and I feel like something I noticed, like you mentioned that you saw a lot of people are doing these builds in Minecraft. It basically mirrored like our experiences with computers. I feel like in real life that they continue to get smaller and they get stronger and stronger. And I think we mentioned there's even a law that like every 24 months that computing power has doubled like since it began. And we're kind of coming.
Do you remember the name of that?
No,
it's not a law.
They call it.
It's kind of like you're right, but it's not like I don't.
There's
many other
Boyle's
opinions
law,
about it.
No,
it's not Boyle's. Gosh darn it! What's the?
Call all the law is what I say.
No, it's Moore's law. That's it.
Moore's law. Yeah. So is it kind of
1975.
along those lines, like if we accept like how fast computing is going now, that in the future, like video games will be off the chain and literally be their own sort of like life. I mean, there's another Star Trek episode. Like remember when those folks come alive in the hologram, the holodeck, and they ultimately like just put them on a hard drive in a computer and let them live out their best life. Like, remember that? Like the guy
Dr. Moriarty.
Yeah, he kind of takes over the ship, and they have to kind of like agree to keep him running, kind of thing.
They use the holodeck against him.
Yeah. It always goes wrong in the holodeck. Like, how do they not see it coming? Like I'm talking like 6 out of 10 times it's mentioned, like it's on the fritz. Like,
we should start a Star Trek podcast, but there's already so many good ones out there, man.
Yeah, it's so true.
Gosh.
But yeah, obviously, like I say, folks, it's a big leap right here. But it's like where my mind went. Like, is like this is just proof. Like in our simulation, we literally simulate our simulation, and this is the fun thought
Stay away
process.
from that rabbit hole, man.
Yeah,
Stay away from it.
I think like ultimately, like, just to summarize what Neil deGrasse Tyson ultimately says, is that he says that if you accept what that was said here, that in the future there will be simulations inside of simulations, and the chances of you being in the first one, or the original one, is like 1,000,000 to 1. But he kind of has some rebuttals to it, and I won't like. I mean, we don't want to go like super deep down this rabbit hole, but like if y'all want to go down the rabbit hole further, listeners, if you're still here, like go down it, like do some research for that simulation hypothesis, and I think you'll enjoy it. And yeah, it's just fun to see that happening in Minecraft, and I'm gonna do it in Ark. I'm building a computer. I can see it now,
dude. It'd be so sick to game with Lex Friedman, man. Wouldn't that be dope?
It would be dope.
Because he does get some gaming in.
I wonder what he plays.
He plays Skyrim.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure he plays other games too. But I bet he'd be into Ark. But dude, I don't know how that human finds time for anything, dude. He's always like doing stuff. Anyways, I love it. I love the Lex Friedman.
Did you see
podcast.
that 7-hour podcast he did?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Yep.
I listened to it too. I've been moving and I've been driving back and forth, so I've had a ton of time, in the car. So yeah, I've listened to that bad boy.
All right, so switching gears, we are continuing with the survival topic in a way, but this game isn't out yet, and frankly, we don't know if it'll ever come out. But I personally hope that it will, because it looks like it's gonna be sick. Blight Survival.
Sick.
Dude, man, I want this game to come out because I have been wanting a dope-ass, polished, good-looking, survival, medieval style game.
Fuck yeah.
And this is what are we talking about here? Blight Survival, ladies and gentlemen. It is an upcoming medieval cooperative action horror roguelite set in an alternate 14th century. And I'm reading this from the Steam page. Release date? Just says coming soon. Developer? I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Haenir Studio. Dude, Haenir Studio consists of only 2 people, man. At least that's what that's what I heard on the interwebs. I might be wrong. They today, as of recording this, they may have hired on a third person.
Went crazy.
Yeah, their budget. They may have had a budget increase and hired on another human or two. But I watched a bunch of videos on this Steam page. I got as much information as I could, and apparently there's only 2 people in the development studio. What were you gonna say? Sorry.
Oh, I saw they're doing it in their spare time. Like it's not just like they're they have a regular job developing obviously in the same field, I think, but yeah, I heard it was even in spare time sort of. So
that's crazy, man. I mean, yeah, so it seems like it's like a pre-alpha stage. So this is just, hopes and dreams at this point, I think, for anyone that's seen this game. If you haven't, definitely go onto YouTube or onto Steam, and you can watch the pre-release trailer. It looks amazing, man. They're doing it on the Unreal Engine 5, which of course we know is just an engine of its own. Like it's amazing graphics, amazing power. So the game just looks stunning considering it's pre-alpha stage. It's not even alpha or let alone beta. It says it's a 4-player co-op action horror roguelite set in the unforgiving no man's land between two desperate states at a ceaseless war. Within this purgatory, a new strain of blight has sprung from remains of the dead. Strengthened by the blood that has been spilled, it rapidly spreads, turning man into monster. As the nations bleed, chastened and paralyzed by war, they call upon you and your kin with the offerings of coin. I love that.
Money.
Coin, Chuck. Coin. Okay? 14th century, bro.
Silver.
Come on. Yeah. Being the only ones willing and capable, you've been tasked to venture in and raise the all-consuming blight. Fight with up to 3 friends your way through both men and monsters in a violent co-op action experience. Pillage and loot the spoils of those less fortunate, but remember, what has been found can once again be lost. That's the roguelite aspect there. Mm-hmm. Choose between a large selection of weapons, armor, and customize them to best suit your playstyle. Explore the war-ravaged lands in a huge map filled with secrets and plenty of coin to be found. Oh, gosh, dude. Yeah. Okay, what can we unpack here? We got a 4-player co-op, so it's definitely going to be an online multiplayer. Mm-hmm. Action horror. If you watch the video that's up, and I think there's only one out there, so you should be able to find it pretty easily. Dude, it just looks so good, man. And it's a third person. There's this guy with a huge sword. He's wearing armor, mm-hmm. and like this weird body, the body stands up, and it's like a zombie dude, and just starts coming after him. Just totally rushing him, man. It's not like your typical zombie type, moving slow. This comes up and just rushes him, dude, and he just freaking it's a hack and slash, so he just hacks and slashes and just it looks so amazing.
Yeah, I think too, we just did a good bit of research of horror games, and I don't remember seeing like maybe in that Left 4 Dead or the zombie type games, like you can play co-op multiplayer like that, but most of them are like single player campaign. You're kind of just terrified running around with a lamp, like we talked about last week.
Yeah.
Very little weapons.
Oh yeah, you mean like your Resident Evil style games?
Yeah, like for a horror
Hill.
I feel like I was just sitting just a straight up horror game. It's an action horror, but that's kind of unique. I think to have that 4-player. I'm interested to see how that works. Is this kind of does it autofill? Do I get on and if I'm playing online,
they'll have that option.
Yeah,
they'll certainly have that option. Yeah, I think it'll be kind of like, Warzone quads. You can play with your squad, or you can play with autofill. Just that. I mean, that would be the way to do it, I think.
My mind goes back to the kid, going backwards on the racetrack. Right there. If I've got to play with 4 people, chances are one of them's gonna be he's gonna be helping the zombies.
You are the weakest link. You may go. You remember that? You remember that show?
It's like a game show or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. We're so old.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, that definitely stood out to me.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye. Oh, God, I'll never forget that show. Anyways, moving on. This game's a roguelite. It's a roguelite. So basically, if you're out in the open world, and it is an open world game, seems to be, if you're out there and you collect these certain things, and then if you die, you lose them. And you'd have to go back to find them. At least that's my understanding of the roguelite concept, is kind of like not permadeath, I suppose, but that whatever you collect, if you lose it out in the map and it's not stored back at base or in a safe point or in a storage of some sort. If you lose it, it's going to be gone. And the only way to get it back is, if you can get it back at all, is to go back to that location and find your stuff. Which on a procedurally generated map could be even more difficult, because I think this is going to be. I think there's going to be, in Blight Survival, there's going to be some procedurally generated map aspects, so that it always keeps the paths fresh, dynamic, but it's going to have the roguelite feel, according to the Steam description. Mm-hmm. What else can we pull from this?
I think you hit on something right there, like replayability. I saw like a mechanic there where there's going to be these spores that are kind of released each time the game is played, and it's going to be different. And therefore, like, if you always sort of, went through the forest and avoided these NPCs, and the next time you play, the spores might be there, and you can't do it that way. And it really, lays out the replay, I think, on this one.
So that it never gets boring?
Yeah.
It's like, I know the path here. I know the Blight's going to be over here, and I know the enemies are going to be there. So, cool, I'll go get my stuff. But if it's always like that, it's going to get real boring real quick, and there won't be any replay.
Yeah, you got to solve the puzzle, action. Each time, it sounded like. And I definitely, saw a lot of stuff like pointing out and comparing almost to a permadeath type thing, like that roguelite situation. And I saw something else where, like, you have like a base camp of sorts, like where, like, if you have something really good, or maybe like you have 2 swords, or some money you don't need right now, you can store that stuff there and have it for the next play through, I think. And I don't have like the specifics of that. I don't even think they know them yet. Like,
nobody does, man.
Yeah.
This is pre-alpha stuff. Things could be changing on as we speak. Everything we've said at this point may have already changed.
Yeah, I took it more like a proof of concept, kind of thing. And they also mentioned that like, although there are sort of these permadeath type things, I took it like you almost had like an XP sort of meter that, maybe you got to keep that, like at least, like if you, we're going up through the levels and you were at level 16, whatever class that they end up calling it or whatever, when you started over, you've lost all your goodies, but you get to keep that, class.
You lost your goodies, but before that, you managed to take out this many walkers and that sub boss or whatever, and you got all the experience from that and technique points or whatever the case may be. You get to keep all that, but when you died at the end and lost all your loot, that's gone.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing, right? Is that what you're talking about? Kind of.
That's exactly.
You keep all your XP and your
It almost sounds like a balance, like a permadeath of sorts, not the kill switch, like where it deletes the game when you complete it.
Yeah. Did you play as Gast?
Game over. But like something else I wanted to point out was I watched this video a while back for one of our episodes about the Unreal 5 engine, and I saw some really cool stuff done with it. But like, it's almost like since I saw that, like, I think I played this game called Splitgate that was kind of a first-person shooter, and when I was watching that video about the Unreal Engine 5 and the preloaded artwork that comes with it and stuff, I was like, man, that looks exactly like that Splitgate game. There was this one part where they made a portal through a wall, and I was like, man, I saw that feature in that Unreal Engine 5 video, and just recently you asked me to play a game called Super Hot, and I did download that and play it a little bit, and you can kind of, I was it in the Unreal Engine 5? I felt
Super Hot wasn't.
It wasn't.
No, Super Hot. No, I doubt it. I don't know what they built that on, but I just thought it was an interest. Super Hot is just for the listeners, it's a very unique first-person shooter where if you move, the enemies move, and if you're not moving, nothing else moves. So it has this really interesting dynamic to it.
Yeah.
But it's a very basic, very unique in terms of its graphics. You'll have to check it out. But I don't think so, Chuck. I don't think it was on Unreal Engine
Well, ultimately,
5. But it's
its
a trippy game.
basicness is why I'm bringing it up now because it's almost like I was aware of the engine of sorts, like when I was in there, just like because it's very minimalist as far as graphics go. It's
so trippy.
yeah,
Dude.
yeah. It was pretty interesting. Definitely, recommend listeners try it out. It was free, another free game on PlayStation. I think there wasn't it.
It was free. I think last month. I got a like tiny little intro video of it up on my channel. YouTube.com/@Ovox in case you want to check it out, ladies and gentlemen.
Nice. Yeah. I definitely. I didn't. I haven't really got a chance to talk to you about it, but I thought it was cool how it that feature was the main thing. Like that. Time only progressed when you were moving, and it allowed you to really plan what you were doing. But you're also dodging bullets. Like you can't waste a lot of time like thinking it through.
Such a weird game.
Yeah, it's really weird. But not to get like too far off track here. The reason I mention all that is like ever since then I've kind of had that. Like I've even mentioned to you before, like when I first come back into Ark after a while, there's almost this buy-in period, like where I'm kind of hyper aware that I'm in I'm not necessarily in real life or whatever. It's not a complete thing. And after you've played it a while, you sort of dive in. And I felt like in this game, like somehow I didn't feel that at all. There was some way that they had put stuff in the foreground and the foreground, and it was uphill. Obviously they put their best
with
foot.
Blight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I felt like they had done a real good job of. Yeah, I didn't feel like I was in that at all. Like when I was watching.
Well, what do you mean? I don't fully understand. You didn't feel like you were in what?
In an engine, ultimately, what I'm saying, the graphics have done a great job of creating a realistic world.
Okay, now I see what you mean by the Ark comparison.
Yeah,
that in the beginning, like because of the graphics and the modeling and those characteristics, it's very clear that it's like, okay, this is a video game world.
Yeah,
no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah,
but the more you get into the game and everything, like you slowly. It becomes almost like a second life. It's trippy. I fully, man, dude, that game is something else.
Yeah.
Just like Minecraft is something else for a lot of people, Just like Rust is something else for a lot of people. Like you have second lives in these games, man. It's crazy.
Well, but to Chuck point this a little bit back to our the simulation theory thing is like if you really watch like how a lot of this works, like as I understand it, like only the novel events are really being seen by us, and our brains are filling in the peripheral all the time. And I think that's just it. Like you start thinking like, oh, I'm in the forest, and your brain fills that in correctly, like with real good graphics, there's kind of like the brain is easily
me of that game.
It's easily tricked, like your brain is easily tricked, and that's why it creeps us out a little bit. I think when they talk about this is because there's a tiny chance it's right, and boy, wouldn't that be weird?
Ooh, stop, man.
Wouldn't that be weird? Like if it turned out really like the Matrix or something, like you on the other side of this, like you woke up in what they called Zion, and those little ships with the cord in the back of your head. Ugh.
No gracias.
Yeah.
No
so
gracias
yeah, I felt like Blight did a great job with that.
You said the forest earlier, man. We need to play some Forest, right?
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that real quick. Let's play the Forest here soon, whenever we can get an opportunity.
Yeah, well, I think we're close to finishing that game, or getting in the.
No, I think we're maybe halfway. We got some work to do.
I haven't.
And we need to finish it before February because that's when the Sons of the Forest come out.
Okay.
Okay.
I want to see I've saw these videos where a bunch of the enemies get together and form a larger enemy. I want to face that at some point.
You don't really want to face that. You're just trying to. Don't lie to me. I know you get. I know how both of us are with scary shit. We can barely play that game. Leroy Jenkins. Shing, shing. Oh, you got me.
Oh my god.
That's Pepe Tortilla, hold my axe.
He did that to us. He was like, "Hey guys, I got an idea."
No, you hold my axe.
He was like,
Leroy.
Hold on, guys, I got an idea.
Oh god!
Dove off down in there like that was the funniest shit I ever seen. Yeah.
Oh, tell everyone real quick what you're talking about.
it's a meme. Like I think this guy really did it. Like it's.
I thought that was something that Pepe Tortilla came up with.
No, it's like there's this video that circulates around, and there's a bunch of guys that are all lined up, and there's one guy that's kind of in charge, and they're inside a video game world, and the guy's like, all right, guys, you got the grenades, and you got the we're going to do this or whatever, and this one guy just shows up, and it's like they're all waiting to go in this room, like where a boss is or whatever, and he's like explaining the plan, and it's like, I would say 12 people or so, and that one guy just says, Leroy Jenkins, and like just runs in. And
what, with like a pea shooter or something?
I mean, with whatever he had, and like that guy's still giving out directions, and somebody says, I think he just ran in, and and it just fucks the guy's whole plan. It reminds me, I would be the guy with the plan, like wanting everyone to listen, and then this one guy just comes up and just goes for it. So it's definitely a thing. But he deployed it perfectly, like because like normally you would right when somebody said, hey guys, I've got an idea, like you'd know like it was coming or whatever, and that's what made it so surprising, because that was the last thing I thought he was going to do.
When that happened, I laughed my butt off just because I thought he was coming up with that in the moment.
Yeah,
I thought that was all him.
Anyway, to tell the listeners, we were all standing up on this cliff, and there's a bunch of like just the weirdest enemies in that game. Like they've got just like arms in places they shouldn't have arms. There's babies that attack you. Like it's just ridiculous, and we're all like brainstorming how can we fight these people. And I think he's gonna say like, here guys, take these arrows, and us all shoot.
Yeah, let's do this. And you're done.
Yeah, and he just dives down in there with them. By himself. Yeah, so, man. It was awesome.
Funny.
Yeah, that's a classic one. But
let me look through here real quick. Something that caught my attention about the Blight survival game is that they're kind of tying into that thing that back in those medieval times, man, there were just horrible like epidemics and pandemics and just crazy plagues and flus and just gnarly diseases that would go through and completely devastate chunks of Europe, like entire countries, or city states or whatever it happened to be. So I found that interesting, and how they say that there's like, what does it say here? Yeah, with this purgatory, a new strain of blight, literally, has sprung from the remains of the dead, and according to what we see, or the historians and whatnot, back then with all of the dead bodies lying around and just overall nastiness of the times, and especially at war, in times of war, it would make sense for all these diseases to be springing from the dead bodies and whatnot of warring nations.
And think back to these guys. I'm sorry to interrupt, but think back to these guys working in their spare time. Two people, they've had to been working on this for a couple of years. I wonder if they weren't inspired by the pandemic.
Well, maybe.
Yeah,
perhaps it could be.
Yeah, it would almost seem impossible not.
Maybe they were just like myself, just going, man, we really need a kick-ass medieval game, hack and slash, get some heavy. Because I know there's games out there that are like medieval inspired, but I don't know. I've yet to seen one that really like just is well polished, like God of War or like Ghost of Tsushima. Anyone out there that was really excited for a kind of like a real good samurai game, kind of loosely based off of actual historical events, based off an actual existing island, like those are all actual things that exist, and like when you play Ghost of Tsushima, it's not necessarily like those other samurai games that exist out there that are kind of like really fantasy, really like visually unrealistic, lots of magic and all this crazy stuff. Like, what's the game I'm thinking of? Like, what is it called? Nioh. And there's other samurai games out there. And then when Ghost of Tsushima came out, man, it's just like super popular because it seems very polished, real enough, like not so much fantasy and stuff like that. Just little details like that. So obviously Blight is going to have like these crazy zombies in it or cannibals or whatever they happen to be. So that's very far from anything that's realistic, but it's, you know what I mean? Kind of like it doesn't seem like too fantastical with magic powers and colors and potions and spells. It's just more gritty, basic. I don't know if I'm explaining that well enough, but
to me, it's like the open worldness, like kind of feeds into what you're talking about. That allows for that. Where, like, if it gets too mystical or whatever, it has to be, you know, to some tiny degree on a rail of sorts. So the campaign does. You know, there's kind of like checkpoints that you have to reach, and you know, a path that you sort of have to take. And you know, I like how this is open world, but you know, it's going to have some things influencing your, like that spore sort of situation that they talked about. And yeah, that is a gritty time. Like I've often wondered, like when you watch like videos or movies of that time's fighting, like if we're getting it right, like it seems like just like when you see those big scenes of like large groups coming together, like that fighting with swords, like
douche, man. So gnarly.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm just looking at old samurai games, and I'm running across this, just like I was mentioning, like Nioh 2, Soul Calibur 6. You know, and there's some good ones. Look at what have we got here? Total War, Shogun 2, Sekiro. But man, when you play Ghost of Tsushima, it's just it's so polished and interactive, and the open world is amazing. It literally feels like you're in Japan. And I have a feeling that with Blight, we're gonna, you know, minus the zombie aspect or cannibals or whatever they are, undead. It just kind of looked like very realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're actually there in medieval England or medieval France or wherever it may happen to be, Hispania or Castilla or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it looked really like, oh gosh, man, I'm really gonna feel like I am a knight or a medieval knight or medieval soldier or whatever with the armor on there in that realm. It's just, you know what I mean? I think it's gonna feel like you're really there.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I've been trying to say this whole time. With Ghost of Tsushima, you feel like you're really there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Where in the other samurai games, I don't think that feeling would happen. I think in this medieval game versus other ones, not all of them, because there's some really dope ones out there, but you're really gonna feel like you're in there, especially if it's co-op.
Yeah, and I think there'll be some like even further customization too. I think for your character, like since they are doing 4-player co-op, there'll have to be something to distinguish each character, I think, and that'll kind of lead to that too. And yeah, it's all about that buy-in for me. Like just kind of like we were relating to earlier, like, you know,
it's the buy-in.
Yeah, if you feel like you're really there, you know, eventually.
Yeah.
And what's amazed me is like it doesn't have to be perfect graphics. Like there can be like the physics play into it too, in some way.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely,
so,
I do.
Yeah,
because if you can have a game that looks amazing, but if the combat is janky or unsmooth, or if the way that your character interacts with the environment, if that's not polished well, it'll ruin everything.
Yeah, you probably saw the same videos I saw of this, like the trailers and whatnot. There was a time like where he kind of is around some NPCs that are discussing some things, and there's actually 2 groups of NPCs, and he's like kind of between them. Like to me, that does a lot for buy-in. Like you know, it really felt like he was in a forest, and you know, you really became aware of that distance between him and those NPCs. And
he drops down and he's crawling and he's being all stealthy, and then he finds another NPC that's got his back to him, comes up and just silent kill. You know, you're like, I love that stuff, man.
Yeah. The old sword under the chin seems like
dude. Hate to go back to Ghost of Tsushima, but you get you got your short sword. I'm trying to remember the name of it. You got the katana. And
God, I used to know that.
Gosh, I'm kicking myself in the butt right now for not
it's
remembering.
Not the
but anyways,
the sai. is what it's
Oh,
called.
now I got to bring it up. I'm going to use a cheat code.
I feel like back in my ninja days, I called that a sai, like your little side knife.
Dang, man.
Yeah, I
Anyways.
don't really remember where.
I can't remember, and it's not coming up quickly, so I don't want to spend too much time looking for it.
I'll point out for our listeners, like a little, like give a shout out to a TikTok channel I saw that was pretty cool. It's called The Gaming Mixologist, and he pointed out that, like, if you play Mario backwards, it's a story about a guy that leaves his woman and his life gets progressively easier and easier.
You're right. Holy shit. Oh my gosh.
No disrespect to the ladies, it's just the facts. Like, it seemed pretty cool, but
It says it's called the Sakai Tanto. Is it a Tanto? That doesn't make sense. I don't remember it saying Tanto. Doesn't matter. Let's move on, because otherwise I'm just going to get stuck in this rabbit hole of Ghost of Tsushima. So, anyways, wrapping up Blight Survival. Is there anything else you wanted to throw in about that?
I know you had me almost wanting to look for that, but I had some notes on my phone here. I think the Unreal Engine 5, like sort of, you know, how the buy-in really worked for me there. I think the permadeath, you know, aspect and the spores were really all I had. Like I felt like this game's going to have some playthrough, and you know, as we kind of transition into our next topic, I feel like it has more than Ragnarok or than God of War.
In what aspect? More buy-in?
More replayability. One of the things that
oh yeah, dude. I think I'm going to agree with you there. Before we do switch over to the you know, the highly anticipated Ragnarok, which has been out for a couple of days now. I hope that the developers are able to, you know, get this game out, Blight Survival. I hope they get the support and funding that they need, however they decide to approach it. I think they were looking at crowdfunding and I think they were trying to avoid crowdfunding and go with just some direct form of sponsorship maybe. I know they're looking for a publisher too. And of course, all of this may have changed while recording. You know, stuff changes quickly, but I think it would be fair to say that if it makes it out, it's going to be maybe a 2024 type of game. Yeah. I don't think it'll see the light of day in 2023. But then again, it could. Who knows? But my feeling is, just like with any video game that I'm looking forward to, take your time, just get it out, and when you do get it out, make sure it's done good. Yeah, take your time, as long as it comes out.
True. I'll add, you know, to those same sentiments that, like, I think things like the fact that we're talking about it now, like things have gone really well. Like the proof of concept, like got millions of views, and you know that's a really good sign. And
oh yeah.
I mean,
it's gotten at least 3 or 4 of them are from me.
Yeah, that was the next thing I was going to say. Like, if they do crowdfund it, I've got 5 on
it. Now say it with your rapper voice. No, I got 5 on it.
Make a video game. I do it. I do it for sure. I'm excited to see. I think it'll happen. I think we'll get a timeline in 2023. That's going to be Chuck T's prediction.
All right, awesome. Moving on. So, how's your God of War experience been? How much gameplay did you get in last night?
I beat the first boss.
Damn, that crazy ass mofo that just keeps punching, or is it?
He kind of had a set of horns, like it was like it kind of seemed like we were just at a chill place where I was fighting some skeleton-looking dudes, and me and my boy, and next thing I knew, up out of the ground.
Me and my boy. I said, boy.
Dude, what a hard parent! Like, it reminded me of Kratos. Like I think my dad had some Kratos in him. It reminded me it was like everything that poor boy tried to do. He was on him hard. Like you know, I mean, it seemed like he was a tough dad for sure. He like we went on this deer hunt. Like we kind of, we it's like we're trying to see if he's ready to go on this. I think his mother had died, and we were kind of, working our way, through, and Atreus wasn't helping fight for a while, but like once I made it to that boss, he was kind of like, he was supporting me with the bow. I could kind of call in his arrows and.
Oh yeah, man! I know exactly what boss you're talking about.
Yeah.
Did you get to the part where you have to fight that dude with like that? He's just pure punches. I forget his name, man.
I'm not gonna lie, dude. I died to the boss I just described probably 5 times. It was hard. It was a different kind of experience. And you had that you were able to pick in the very beginning whether you wanted a story, a balanced experience, a challenge. I think there was maybe one level between God of War. Like God of War was the pinnacle, essentially. Like
yeah,
you wanted to
have
your ass handed to you. But I feel like what I played was fairly hard. I mean, the controls are all new to me, so it was yeah.
Hey, but I think this is a great way to enter into talking about Ragnarok, because a lot of people that have reviewed it so far that have played it, and again, just for full disclosure, I have not played it yet, but we have done a bunch of research into it, so we probably won't drop any spoilers, so that's a good thing. Don't worry about spoilers, listeners. But yeah, a lot of reviewers have said that it's like just a more badass, better, smoother, faster, more detailed version of God of War 2018, which is the one you were playing last night. So in that light, in virtue of that, how did you feel about God of War 2018 in terms of just your overall gaming experience? You mentioned you got your ass handed to you a few times, and that can be frustrating with any game, no matter how good it is. But how did you feel about it? How did you feel about the graphics? How did you feel about the gameplay?
I took some notes here.
Just so that we can go from there into this new iteration.
Well,
what was the first thing that caught your eye? Like first thing that you did mention about it, like that stuck with you?
I think I'm going to be honest. Like the cutscenes are pretty plentiful. I had
too much.
I'm going to harken back to Dragon's Lair, which is in all cutscenes, essentially. That arcade game that I mentioned to you was the 50 Center there at the Charlie's Arcade. That was my home arcade as a child, and
that's not a reference to 50 Cent, fellow gamers. It was a reference to that. It was a coin-op arcade game that required 2 quarters.
Yeah, and it was a laser disc game, which was kind of unique at that time, and essentially you were in a cartoon, and there would be this little flash of light or something that would tell you which way to go, and if you pushed that way, you got one cutscene, and if you didn't, you got another one that might be an animation of you falling and dying and all that, and this definitely isn't to that extent, but. At first, I was in it, and especially since it said, if the easiest difficulty was just to see a story. So I tried to think to myself, I'd been watching some live gameplay of the newest one, so I kind of had an idea of what was coming. And like to just simply answer your question, like I thought, okay, this is kind of more like a movie. Was probably one of my first thoughts. Like I was like, if you're going to enjoy this, you probably better think of it more like a movie. So I tried to really just absorb the cutscene, and my first thoughts were like, damn, that dude is a rough ass parent. Like that poor boy. It reminded me exactly of my dad. Like one time we bought a canoe and like we took it out in the middle of winter to try it in, and I fell in, and like we had to load it back up, and I remember trying to help my dad, and I was like. And he was like, I was like, let me help you, Dad. And he was like, get in the truck.
You want to help me? Get in the truck. Shut your mouth. What?
That's exactly what he said. You know,
Poor Chuck.
I went from, you know, excited getting to use the canoe to just, you know, like, I mean, his tone was like, you know, I just wish I had a boy that had some sense, you know, and that's the way I felt with that. And then when I found out like his mom had died, you know, it's like I say, I you know, I don't want to.
You mean Atreus?
Yeah, I don't want to belabor. Like you asked a specific question. What was my first thing? Like I was like, boy, howdy, there's going to be some cutscenes in this, and you know. Yeah. But I knew there were big enemies coming, so you know, it was worth it. And
I gotta say, I think that's interesting. I wasn't expecting that to be your answer, but I appreciate the straightforward transparency, like, because that just tells me that, you know, this game isn't going to be, well, in both God of War 2018 and the new one, Ragnarok, it isn't necessarily for everyone, and it isn't necessarily going to be perfect for everyone, because it's getting a lot of hype, man. Mm-hmm. Ragnarok is getting a lot of positive hype. So to be perfectly honest, I haven't seen any negative reviews. Your comments right now are literally the first thing that I've heard from anyone that isn't necessarily a good thing. Mm-hmm. Right? Like what you're saying is it kind of seems like a movie to me. A lot of cutscenes. I want to get to it. That's not a positive review the way I'm absorbing it from you. So I'm, in a way, it's interesting because I haven't heard anything like that yet. I've only heard amazing stuff. And I know that it's because it's super brand new. It just came out last Wednesday. There are obviously going to be negative reviews. There probably already are, or maybe not necessarily negative, but just people saying, well, you know, it's kind of got this going, it's kind of got that going, and it could have been better in these aspects. But that's cool, man. It's cool to hear a different opinion, you know. And granted, you're talking about God of War 2018. That may be different, you know. If when we get to play Ragnarok, it may be a lot different because also in what I've heard. And I should have made that distinction that you're obviously referring to the original Ragnarok, God of War 2018.
Right.
Which wasn't the first God of War game. It was just the first one with the Norse mythology going. So from what I've gathered, a lot of the people that have played through both and have reviewed the new one is that they actually put a lot of effort in taking those aspects that were kind of like, oh, you know, lots of cutscenes, or, oh, Kratos moves kind of slowly. He doesn't get up cliffs fast enough. He doesn't slip through walls quick enough. He's kind of janky, or he's not as swift, you know, and efficient or whatever. Hey, the combat is a little stale. You got a great formula, but there needs to be more, and so on and so forth. So it looks like Santa Monica Studio heard all of that and really polished all of those little blemishes out in this new iteration, this second Norse mythology installment with the Ragnarok game. Sorry, that was long-winded, but no. So maybe in this newer one, the cutscenes have been cut down a little bit. It doesn't feel like such a movie. It's hard to say.
I think it has to some degree. I've watched I would say at least an hour or two of live gameplay, like people live streaming this on TikTok. And
did you say, hell, I'll take some spoilers for the team?
Yeah, you know, I think what I saw, yeah, I probably did get a spoiler or two in there, but I also saw enough to see that, yeah, there are still some cutscenes for sure, and I know, like to further kind of go down that rabbit hole with my experience with the first God of War, I did feel a little, you know, obviously coming from Ark and some of the things I've been into lately, like I felt the fact that I wasn't in a completely open world, like I was on a rail of sorts, because Atreus was kind of heading in a certain path, and I had to follow him, you know, and there were items off to the left and right, like possibly like areas that looked like they needed to be explored for loot, and you know, I didn't know how far to go with that. Like, was I going to lose him, or, you know, be wandering?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
that's another thing that I got a lot of feedback for this video, like in preparing, from the Game Ranks Before You Buy with Jake Baldino. I love his his videos, the before you buys, because I think he's really good at just hitting the main points of reviewing something. And of course, I watched other content, and I got the PlayStation page up. In fact, let me read from that really quick after. Oh gosh, I lost my. Chuck, help me out here. What was I just talking about?
I think.
Oh, just the fact that you're like what you mentioned. The open world, the side quests, open world aspect. That they really worked on that apparently in this new one.
Well, and are you on a rail or not? Like, is there just one sort of path? I mean, obviously you are to some degree. There's some.
That was right. That's right.
I saw people playing the new one, like where they felt like they were on a rail. Like I don't think it's a huge spoiler. At some point, you're driving a chariot like thing, and the guy was like, "Oh, I can get off anytime I want." Like it took him a minute to realize that, and he started getting off and doing a little bit more exploring, kind of thing. And
exactly, that's what I was. Sorry, I totally had a brain fart there, but that's what I was going to get at. Is that amongst those things that they supposedly worked out in this new Ragnarok game, is that it doesn't feel quite linear and it doesn't feel quite open world. That really there's actually just a bunch of really large open areas that you can explore, but there's still just enough linearness, you might call it, or direction that you won't ever like get lost or feel like you don't know where to go. So they apparently worked on that well. We'll see. There'll certainly be a lot more gameplay. I'm going to probably get the game as soon as possible. There's some other games that I'm trying to lock down, but I'll definitely be getting the God of War Ragnarok at some point, and then I'll be able to, maybe we can have a recap episode.
Yeah.
But
because as you point out, like each one of those things, there's a limit where it's too far. Like obviously being on too much of a rail or a linear approach is maybe not as fun or
not good for replayability.
No, but also like centered around like looking through the menus and lists of objectives, trying to figure out where the hell you're supposed to go from here isn't much fun either. Like I've done that. Recently. I forget what game I was just like, No Man's Sky. Remember when we were playing No Man's Sky and I just was standing there at that computer like what am I supposed to do next? And it's like I would read it again. No, that doesn't help. So.
Now, let me read this real quick from the PlayStation page. It says, it was released on Wednesday. From Santa Monica Studio comes the sequel to the critically acclaimed God of War 2018. Fimbulwinter is well underway, and Kratos and Atreus must journey to each of the 9 realms in search of answers as Asgardian forces prepare for the prophesized battle that will end the world. Along the way, they will explore stunning mythical landscapes and face fearsome enemies in the form of Norse gods and monsters. The threat of Ragnarok grows ever closer. Kratos and Atreus must choose between their own safety and the safety of the realms. So that's just a little text there from the PlayStation page, but
yeah, well,
it seems like it's a similar story type to the first game that we both played, but just a new adventure. And from what I've gathered, you may have noticed this in the gameplay you watched. I didn't really watch any gameplay, to be honest with you. I only watched reviews. But it seemed like Atreus in this one is kind of leading the story, leading the adventure, the son.
Mm-hmm.
Where in the first one, in the 2018 game, Kratos was really like showing him, teaching him, leading him, follow me. Kind of. That's
him, belittling him.
Go ahead, Chuck.
Toughening him up. Sorry, Dad.
You really connect with this relationship here, didn't you?
I told you about leaving the lights on at my house. Like, it was enough to get this started. Like, so yeah. Shout out to Dad, toughened me up, for sure. Yeah, and
it seems like Atreus is in this new game. Atreus is the one that's saying, like, "Hey, man, follow me. I'm gonna lead the way." It leads the adventure instead of Kratos journeying around the mythological world. Not quite open world, not quite linear. Lots of large areas to explore. Those were some of my notes, but
I'm afraid I'm going to maybe drop some spoilers here by just asking these questions, but I feel like I can. Like,
Give a spoiler alert if you must.
Spoiler alert.
How many seconds do we get?
I feel like that's
Do the
enough.
countdown.
That's enough. Like, hey, folks, I'm about to ask some questions because I don't, I just don't know. But was there any? I'm going to ask it in a weird way, so you'll probably know what I'm talking about.
If you're asking the listeners, ask them and tell them to let us know. Tell them to write in.
Was there
Leave
any
a comment?
Okay, was there any bestiality in the first game?
Why are you asking that?
Well, it's not exactly what it means, but what I'm really asking, did at any time did you turn into an animal?
In the first game?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't finish it, so I don't know.
I feel like you've gone pretty far enough that you would have seen that part. So yeah. No, that doesn't happen in the new.
Does it? I don't know.
I did say spoiler alert. Yeah, I saw that in some gameplay, and that was like that's what I'm jazzed about. Like it looked fun as shit. Like your boy Atreus there turned into a bear and was shit stomping some people. Yeah, it looks like you get to play as him at times, and
damn, man,
dude, I saw this. It's almost like he goes Hulk mode, like when he gets like really emotional somehow. Something he turns into a freaking bear, and I mean it went from like
grizzly.
Yeah, at least. Like it was a brown bear, like for sure. Like it wasn't polar bear like colors or whatever, but it was a huge bear compared to the enemies. And not quite boss size, but I would say between where Atreus was or Kratos was before and boss size, like a mid, kind of size,
like a mid semi boss size,
and dude,
grizzly bear. What the fuck are we talking?
And he was fucking shit slapping people. He was like, I'm a bear. Like the guy playing it, like kind of, said, "Oh shit, I'm a bear," and he was just laughing, like, yeah, it looked fun as hell. It looked super fun. Yeah.
Ask me what I am. What are you? I'm a bear.
and I mean, like if you were to ask me earlier, like what was your favorite part? My favorite part was the stun grab. Like there was a thing that like when I got that boss on the ropes and finally got his health bar down, in the original God of War, we're back to or whatever, but it was like I had to hit circle or something like that, and I jumped up and grabbed him by his neck and like broke his freaking neck, like kind of dragging him to the ground. And
Damn,
yeah,
man,
I
I'm
liked
gonna
that
have
part.
to re-download that and finish it.
I liked that part. I liked that like the stun grab, just how huge that boss was, and then I was able to manipulate him like that, and it felt real satisfying. Yeah, I think I would definitely try this game. There's no kind of co-op in these kind of things, right? Like, is there any kind of online part to it? Or?
No, I don't believe so. That would be cool. Let me bring it up real quick, just to see. No, it's single player. That's a action adventure hack and slash single player. Platforms PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. That's it, man. Exclusive.
Yeah, I saw you put there in the notes like 40 hours approximately of gameplay for this new one, and like, when I'm in these like Discord servers, like trying to join a new tribe in the new fancy Ark server there on the PC, it's like, I can't even get them to respond to me unless I got 4K hours.
But I've been playing on PlayStation.
Yeah.
Not the same.
Yeah, exactly. So it made me, I was just like, this is 40 hours. That's a child's toy.
I think it's fair to say that, 40 hours, man. No, you're not gonna. No one's gonna recruit your ass.
Well, and I mean, it's like I say, you could play through this again. This new God of War, it says 40 hours approximately. So it's a thing that it again makes me think if you approach it kind of like a movie, there'll be some benefit to that. And
that's you mentioned this earlier. You mentioned it as the buy-in as well. I think it's fascinating how how our brains work. Because yeah, I mean, like when I play things like Ark or Rust or No Man's Sky, I suppose, some of this Eve, but mostly like Ark and Rust, to be honest with you, because like you'll get to a point where, because of the it's not linear, like you kind of in a weird, as my dad would say, in a weird sitcomic way, you feel like you're in the game. Like you don't feel like you're playing a game to some extent. Like you do, obviously, it's a game and everything like that, but you really get into it with the open world survival games, Yeah. And when you with a game like God of War and many like it, it does seem like a movie in a way. Because like, I mean, there's a story, you get to the end, there's a final boss, final stage, you beat it, and from that point on, I mean, you can play it again. Let's say there's 3 alternate endings. You play it 3 alternate times, you get the 3 alternate endings, and then you've covered that basis. Well, you could do all of those again in extra hard difficulty. Story ain't gonna change. That's it. You've pretty much, you've capped off. That's it. You're not gonna get anything new out of it. But every time I start a new Ark adventure, every single time it's gonna be a new Ark adventure.
True.
And I have no idea what's gonna come. Every time I play Rust and I go in and it's a fresh wipe and I want to see how good I can do, how far I can get, it's always gonna be a new story, new adventure, new anxieties, new stresses, new pleasures, new successes, new friends potentially, and it's just completely different from the linear hack and slash style, or like it's a movie. I just think I guess what I'm getting at is that when you reference like them being like a movie, that's just an extremely fair statement in my mind.
And it's a more single player oriented experience. Like I think, especially for yourself and me included, like that's one of the things I like about the Ark is playing with other people. Like I think I enjoy playing alone more than others, but it's typically like building something that I'm later going to share with people. Like it's not like it's just for me, and like I don't give a shit if anyone ever sees it. Like I know eventually like you guys are going to be back on and you're going to be like, well, hey, that's cool, or like, I like this dino you found, or
like, damn, dude, look at all these resources you got. Like,
something,
like, hey, can I join your tribe?
yeah, and that's the whole purpose.
Hell yeah, but you ain't getting no admin.
Don't touch my Argentavis.
Don't touch the element.
Yeah. So, even when I do play it a lot, like it's kind of by yourself, or it's to share with folks later. But this game seemed more like a single person experience. I mean, obviously you could talk about it, later. I think those boss fights stand out to me as like one of the things that. Just the hugeness of the bosses, man, like are just nuts. Like some of the gameplay I saw, like, yeah, dude, there's bosses that are like look like a mountain or something in the background. Like they're that size.
Yeah.
And they're interacting with the tiny little you.
Yep. I mean, I think there's a real place for these games. Of course there is. There always has been. We got, Witcher. The games that I enjoy that are the style are, we got Witcher 3, Ghost of Tsushima, Elden Ring, is crazy spectacular, God of War, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's plenty of games like this, but they really do, scratch the itch of a linear type hack and slash experience. We'll call it a movie experience. I think that's such a great metaphor that or comparison, man. It's like you're living out a movie in a video game, and then you can rewatch it because you enjoyed it, and you can rewatch it again, but eventually you're gonna stop watching it.
Yeah, and
you can only watch Tremors and Tremors 2, which were the only good Tremors, if you ask me. You can only watch those Tremors movies so many times before okay, you're like, all right, I got enough Kevin Bacon.
You can never have too much Kevin Bacon, or bacon in general.
Let's just set the record straight. You can never have enough.
Yeah,
they're under the damn ground.
All bacon. But No,
Go back and watch those movies if you haven't seen them, fellow gamers. Tremors and Tremors 2, classics. You know what I'm talking about.
Well, one thing I have to mention before we sort of leave the cutscene kind of topic is that, you know, I went into it thinking that like I'm watching a movie and I'm going to really relish this and just, you know, kind of embrace it as a new experience. And I would say about the third cutscene, I was pushing buttons, you know, like to see if there was a way to skip on.
I'm over it.
Yeah.
I'm over it. I want to keep hacking and slashing.
I was exiting.
Not watching, not having existential crisis periods. Watching replays of my relationship with my. Sorry, Trey. I think maybe you had a connection to that. Kind of, it was hitting you in your soft spot.
Oh yeah. I was like, yeah, exactly. And you know, I was hitting the X button. I was, you know, just seeing can we skip a little, you know, skip back to. So,
like, why isn't this working?
Yeah.
Because what if I hold?
And I loved throwing that axe and calling it back. Like that was so much fun. You know,
dude.
Yeah. And I think that's it. I think that's one of the things that's driving the success of this second game is everyone has their own little thing that they probably liked about the first one. You know, I think for a lot of people, I think for me, from what I've seen so far, it's going to be the boss fights. And
which there's supposed to be more of in this new one.
Yeah.
More boss fights and more sub bosses.
Well, and I will kind of point out the format of the live streaming on TikTok is like you're you know, and I assume Twitch, I haven't done a lot of watching folks on Twitch, but like you can kind of type questions to the guy and like he's playing this game and, you know, and during the cutscene is like a good time period for him to look over and see what folks are asking. And I asked the guy like what his favorite part, you know, thus far of the game as he was playing through it. And this guy did like I think like 40 hours straight or something. And he said like he said, I don't want to spoil it like for people, but he was like, you know, he was like people that know will know. Like he said the boss, you know, that boss fight, and yeah, I think I saw what he was talking about, and it's what I'm saying. Like the ultimate boss that was running the fight was about the size of a mountain. Like he was in the way background. It looked like you know, and
damn,
yeah,
damn,
yeah.
All right, well, I think. Would you recommend this game based off what you know about it?
Yeah,
I think I would certainly recommend it because it's, you know, it's a you know, AAA game, AAA Studios creating a AAA product where they took the successes of their previous game, worked on them. They got the DNA of a great game there and the formulas for great combat, hack and slash combat. They took all of that, made it even better. And it sounds like they also heard the critiques of their player base with a lot of controls, maneuverability of Kratos, lack of boss fights, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they really built on that, fixed those gaps, you know, like just... They polished the game, made stuff better, fixed the stuff that didn't work well, and sounds like it's just an overall epic game.
Yeah.
40 hours approximately of gameplay. And, I mean, that's it. That's all I got for you on God of War Ragnarok. Get after it.
Yeah. I love Viking lore anyway. Like, and I think, yeah, just that in general, like, is a good reason for folks to come out. Like,
give it a shot.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that, man. Have you seen Vikings on Netflix?
I had to nope out, like when they did the Blood Eagle, I think it was. Like I know
you noped out after that.
I said, like, I'm very close to noping out, and like I would say not 30 minutes later I was watching something about the placenta of a newborn child, you know, something going on there, and I noped out. That was it. I was like,
what are you getting into, man?
I gave it a second chance.
How do you find these things?
It's in the show. Like, it was in the show.
Oh, in the same. I'm sorry. I thought you were watching the Blood Eagle, noped out, and decided to go watch the placenta. Like, what are you doing?
I was like, I should nope out now, but I've enjoyed it thus far. I'm gonna give it one more chance. And literally within 30 minutes later of watching, I was in another nope out situation and was just like,
I'm done with this series.
yeah, no.
Oh,
and
that's
just for
crazy.
the record, if you pull my lungs out my back, I'm going to scream like a girl.
Gosh.
Yeah. There'll be no entering Valhalla for me, like apparently, on those grounds. But yeah, I love that stuff. So yeah, I definitely recommend it, and it was fun looking into it. And I'm gonna play some more of that. Now that I got it downloaded. So
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, maybe we can get some gaming in this weekend.
Yeah.
Hope everyone out there is having an amazing, just November so far. Halloween just passed us. Hope you had a great Halloween. Thanksgiving is coming up. We hope you get to have a lovely Thanksgiving with friends and family. Chuck, you got anything for our listeners on the?
Yeah, I would love it if folks would get in touch with us somehow. By our information there. We've got our Gmail and all that out there for folks, and yeah, I'd love to hear some ideas for new shows and what you're
Some
thinking.
ideals?
Some idea. Oh.
Some ideas?
Oh.
I always give him a hard time, listeners. I always give Chuck a hard time.
And also for our listeners, it's actually a malapropism, and he doesn't know it, and that's the actual joke that's going on here.
No, you're just whatever. Don't cover it with that.
Look up malapropism.
Ideally, you would say ideas instead of ideals.
All right, Brainiac.
I'm just.
Do you know what? Do you know what a malapropism is?
Hold on, let me look it up. Can I do that?
Yeah,
no, I'm just kidding.
It's like a friend with Benedict's is a good one.
Friend with what? You just stop.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just messing with you. When is our next episode going to come out? It's going to come out on the 26th. When is Thanksgiving?
It's going to be close to Thanksgiving, isn't it? Yeah.
All right, so we're not going to wish you a happy Thanksgiving yet. All right, I take that back, what I said earlier. What is today? Saturday? Have a nice Saturday. That's all you get from me.
Yeah.
I hope you had a nice Halloween though. That's for sure. What else? Yeah, definitely check us out on the interwebs. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/New Wave Gaming Podcast. I think I may have changed it, Chuck, on Facebook. No, I didn't. It's still facebook.com/New Wave Gaming Podcast, all one word, lowercase. We have a handle on our YouTube now. I guess we got past a threshold and we have a handle now.
Nice.
You can find us at youtube.com/NWG podcast. No underscores, no points. I'm confused though, because I think it might be youtube.com/@NWG podcast. Let me try that real quick.
I didn't realize that was the process you had to get the handle. Wow.
Oh, yeah, man. Process and a half. I'm just kidding. It wasn't that hard. Let me see though. I don't want to spread false information. I want people to be able to find us nice and easy. Okay, yeah. So it's youtube.com/@NWG podcast. And that'll bring up our YouTube page there. Yep, there it is. Definitely check us out there. Subscribe. It'll help us out a bunch to get out there more on YouTube. And if you enjoy our content, definitely leave us a like or a 5-star rating, a review if you can, depending on what podcast app that you listen to podcasts on. I think if you're on Apple, you can leave us a review. That'd be awesome. We'd appreciate that tremendously. We'll shout you out and read it here on the podcast. Even if it's a negative review, even if you're just tearing us a new one, we'll read it out. As long as it's 5 stars, why not?
That's right.
Yeah. We're always open to ideas and input. We're always looking for stuff we can get out there that you'll enjoy, maybe new segments. I do have a couple of segment ideas, Chuck. We can touch on them here after we're done recording. But yeah, reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. Good or bad, no biggie. And the more you shout us out there or not shout us out, but the more love we get, the more people will hear this podcast, and it'll get out to more folks, and And that'd be awesome, just so we can,
Spread the love.
get out to more
baby.
folks, spread the love.
Yeah.
Anything else, man?
I think that's it, man. It's been a good show.
Cool. All right, well, everyone, have an awesome Saturday. This has been New Wave Gaming Podcast, episode 15 on Minecraft, Ragnarok, God of War Ragnarok, Blight, and we don't have a name for this episode yet, but we'll find one. This is the most professional podcast that Chuck and Tomahawk and myself do. It's actually the only podcast that we do, and we love that you're here joining us. Have an awesome weekend, everybody. Chuck.
Yeah. Kick it in the chungus.
Signing out. Adios.